Adding to the long list of scientific words that woo-woos misdefine and then misapply, we now have dimension. It's rising in popularity, and hard as this is to believe, it may soon outstrip frequency, vibration, and quantum. Its misuse goes back a long way. In fact, my wife recently got me the first season of the classic, and by that I mean abysmal, science fiction show Lost in Space. She's lived to regret this move because now my son and I constantly quote lines from the show such as, "Would you like another serving of space pie?" and "Golly, they turned him into a cave robot." The reason all this comes up is because I recently watched an episode called Invaders from the Fifth Dimension, in which the planet on which the Robinson family is trapped is visited by a pair of aliens who look like the love children of John Kerry and Karl Rove. These aliens are ultra-powerful, we're told, because they come from the fifth dimension and they have an interdimensional force field surrounding their ship. Even so, it turns out that they're no match for Will Robinson, who actually defeats them by feeling sad at them. I'm not making this up, by the way. In any case, this illustrates how the misuse of the word dimension goes back a long way, at least into the 1960s. For some reason, people got the idea that dimension meant place, and so therefore you could be from a dimension. Take, for example, the article that appeared recently over at Before It's News, called Interdimensional Alien Invasion Begins, implying that if dimension means place, you could be from between two dimensions, the same way you could be from between Hoboken and Weehawken, although I wouldn't brag about that. In this article, we're told that the author, while studying for his bachelor's degree in physics, learned about string theory, which, among other things, posits a number of spatial dimensions beyond the three we're used to. The author has the following to say: "All events ever experienced by humans throughout history, either from the mundane to the extraordinary, have at best been reported or recorded using the language of four dimensions, three spatial, x, y, and z, and one temporal, time. That leaves at least 7 dimensions that we are only dimly aware of, if at all. Most people intrinsically understand the spatial dimensions. It is the structure of all of our movements, all the things we interact with. It is our life's experiential structure. But time is also a dimension, albeit time's arrow only runs in one direction under normal Newtonian situations. But it is a dimension nonetheless. It is an axis of freedom in which we move, ever trudging forward ceaselessly. To quote William Shakespeare, 'Time is the fire in which we burn.' What sort of experiences and entities burn in the higher 7 dimensions?" Right, whatever the hell that means. Later, though, he does us the favor of answering the question. It turns out that the higher dimensions are places for Bigfoot to hide. Once again, I'm not making this up. I believe that all forms of what we call paranormal is normal, maybe just not in our 4-dimensional reality. The interdimensional hypothesis states that UFOs, aliens, shadow people, crop circles, Bigfoot, and ghostly activity are all explained by the passage of beings from another dimension occasionally crossing into our dimension and being witnessed. The method of crossovers are not understood at this time by science. Okay, can we just hang on a moment here? The trouble I have with people like this is they can't even take the time to read a damn Wikipedia page, because there is a Wikipedia page on dimensions, and it has the following to say. In physics and mathematics, the dimension of a space or object is informally defined as the minimum number of coordinates needed to specify any point within it. Thus, a line has a dimension of 1 because only one coordinate is needed to specify a point on it. For example, the point 5 on a number line. A surface such as a plane or the surface of a cylinder or sphere has a dimension of 2 because 2 coordinates are needed to specify a point on it. For example, both a latitude and longitude is required to specify a point on the surface of a sphere. The inside of a cube, a cylinder, or a sphere is 3-dimensional because the 3 coordinates are needed to locate a point within these spaces. So saying that UFOs or Bigfoot or whatnot come from the 7th dimension is a little bit like saying your Uncle Steve comes from horizontal. Higher dimensional spaces may exist, of course, although the point is controversial. What's interesting is the very same Wikipedia page goes into this and describes how it applies to things like M theory and string theory, which you'd think that our physics student author would know. In physics, 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time is the accepted norm. However, there are theories that attempt to unify the 4 fundamental forces by introducing more dimensions. Most notably, superstring theory requires 10 space-time dimensions, and originates from a more fundamental 11-dimensional theory tentatively called M-theory, which subsumes 5 previously distinct superstring theories. To date, no experimental or observational evidence is available to confirm the existence of these extra dimensions. If extra dimensions exist, they must be hidden from us by some physical mechanism. One well-studied possibility is that the extra dimensions may be curled up at such tiny scales as to be effectively invisible to current experiments. So if Bigfoot lives there, he's not Bigfoot so much as submicroscopic foot. Anyhow, I'll just reiterate my request that before people go blathering on about science as if they knew what they were talking about, they did a little research and find out what the terms they're using actually mean. And now I think I'm going to go get some more coffee. Maybe I'll put it in a 4-dimensional Klein bottle. We'll never run out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. Our resources are down there, and please subscribe to our channel. Thanks.